Of course, we have Carl DeSantis, our executive director. He's the official spokesperson and ambassador for downtown Kamloops. Samantha is a marketing graduate from Thompson Rivers University, and you'll see her in downtown businesses doing marketing with her phone. I joined in February, and I'm the newest member, and I am the member services and admin. And thank you very much for that quick one. Now we're off to digital strategies in the time of COVID. And Brock, I will turn this over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Christine. Thanks, everyone, for joining today. Appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a strange couple of months, I guess, here, but just want to talk a little bit about, I just want to make sure I can go through the slides here. There we go. So just want to talk a little bit about kind of give you guys a lay of the land of what has been going on the last couple of months, get an idea of kind of digital trends in Canada. Sorry, it wants to skip forward for me for some reason. No worries. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties, it always happens with these Zoom meetings. So who the heck am I? So my background, my name is Brock Raditz. First of all, I'm the Western Canada Director for Digital for Stingray. So I help out in BC and Alberta. My background, I worked for a creative marketing agency for the last 4 or 5 years. Also ran the digital advertising for Bell Media in that time, but just worked in all different kinds of mediums, all the way from print to radio and selling websites and Google AdWords and all kinds of different areas. So my background's more on the strategy side, working with clients to build everything up from just kind of bare bones and laying out an ongoing strategy. So that's a bit of my background, but really for today, wanted to talk about the digital trends in Canada, get an idea of where we're at, talk a little bit about the consumer perception of advertising, because that's a question that I get a lot, really about, do people really want to be seeing ads right now? And then just talk a little bit about digital strategy. So we've got about 30 minutes today. Digital strategy is obviously a very complex thing. So I'm just going to scratch the surface on a few main kind of areas to give you an idea of a little bit of a checklist of maybe things that you should be doing right now, maybe a reminder to make sure things are set up correctly with the way consumption has changed. Hopefully there's a few takeaways. I'm sure you'll hear some stuff that you may have heard before, but as long as you kind of get a few nuggets to take away, I'll be happy. And then just talk a little bit about the role of brands moving forward and kind of how marketing is changing moving forward, and kind of how even the way you present your brand has to change moving forward. We can just move on here. So this slide, won't spend too much time on this. Really the main thing that I wanted to convey with this was that overall consumption in Canada is going up. So from the very beginning of the pandemic, we've just seen a jump in especially total minutes spent and total visits as well. And this just continues to trend upward. Okay. Just a few stats to kind of paint that picture. Total minutes spent on social media has increased 70%. So Canada, we're one of the top users of social media in the world. To see that increase by 70% is quite a large number. News consumption, media consumption, both up about 40% in Canada. Local news consumption up nearly 70%. I know in the Kamloops market, Radio NL has been doing a really good job of not only the COVID, but just everything else that's been going on in that community. Daytime internet usage up and evenings both up significantly as well. And then kind of the number one thing you need to think of, store visits down 90%. So of course, these are some pretty stunning stats, but just really trying to paint that picture that the way people consume media, the way people spend their time and how much time they're spending online is completely changing. So we really want to make sure that we're set up for success and looking at that digital strategy with the new ways that people are consuming media and spending their time. Just move on here. Cool. So consumer perception of advertising, just a study here. This is out of the US, but pretty similar to what we see in Canada. And really, do people want to see brands advertise as normal during the corona outbreak? And this was right at the beginning. And really there was a very small percentage of people who strongly disagreed or somewhat disagreed. Really the majority of people either didn't agree or disagree. They were kind of neutral on it, which is great. Oh, not sure where our presentation's going here. Sorry, it's kind of glitched out for a second there. So the overall, just people are fine with seeing ads during COVID-19. Also, a couple other studies done around the world. Only 8% of consumers thought that stopping advertising should be a priority for brands, where 77% said that they wanted advertising to talk about how the brand is helpful in a new way. 75% said it should inform about the brand's efforts to face the situation. And then nearly 80% of respondents said it was unchanged. Their perception of a brand was unchanged when it was adjacent to coronavirus content. So that's something really important to keep in mind. Even if you're running ads and there's some sort of coronavirus content around it, only 16% of people actually change their attitude unfavorably towards that brand. Move on to the next one here. So Google My Business page. This is kind of the billboard, for lack of a better term, or kind of that first introduction for your business. So you want to make sure, take the time, make sure that everything is set up correctly, make sure that your business hours are updated, make sure your daily schedule is updated. Google's also created a feature where you can temporarily set your business to close. So if that does happen, it doesn't affect your search engine optimization. It doesn't affect any of the rankings or anything on your Google rankings. It just lets people know that you guys are temporarily closed. And that's a good way to make sure that people are able to connect with you in the right way. Make sure that people are able to stay updated with how your business is doing, kind of what your current situation is. Update the business description. So make sure you're making posts on your profile. You can talk about any precautions that you've taken, any kind of COVID-19 issues. Maybe your delivery has changed, maybe your ordering process has changed, maybe your pickup options have changed. So those are things to think about. Updating contact info. So unfortunately, people's roles have changed within the business. There may have even been some layoffs. You really want to make sure that the people getting those messages, getting those emails, getting those phone numbers, even where people are reaching out to you, that they're reaching out to the right places. So try and get on that as soon as possible. I'm sure many of you have already looked at that. Another thing to look at, and Google just recently launched, basically they're called Google support links. So there's ways that you can look at messaging through the Google My Business page, making sure that you're putting posts on there. You can order online. You'll be able to actually even give donations and sell gift cards through your Google My Business page as well. And as always, it's never a bad time to ask for reviews. Google might flag you if you're putting in a ton of different reviews, a ton of reviews all at once. But if you're putting in, even a dozen reviews from some of your trusted customers, Google won't flag it and you'll be fine. So AdWords. So AdWords is a great place to reach people when they're kind of in that research phase. I love this example from Toyota. Toyota is here to help, do not pay for 6 months. Really straight down to the point. They're still trying to sell cars, but it kind of has that context and tone that really makes you aware of the situation that's going on. It's not about kind of putting your head in the sand and pretending like nothing is going on. You do want to make sure that your messaging reflects the situation. So consider your text and tone. Consider if your message is helpful. Think about that when you're putting that into your copy. Do not pay for 6 months. Of course, you want to see that to be seen as a helpful message. Empower customers to take action. So whether it's during coronavirus marketing or just general marketing, make sure that you're putting some sort of call to action. So when giving people a reason to actually click on your search ads. Now's the time to even look at optimizing negative keywords. So just go back a slide, please. You can use your arrows as well. Optimize negative keywords. So looking at keywords that maybe you don't want to show up right now. So take some time to look at if there's services that you're having inquiries for that you may not actually offer. Make sure you're removing those as negative keywords, because that's going to not only help make sure that you maintain your budget, but just make sure that you're showing up for ads that you actually are relevant for. Using ad extensions, also make sure that you're looking at the ability to, if you can book orders through your ads, if you can call through your ads, use as many ad extensions as possible just to make sure that people can access you as easily as possible on your Google ads. And then finally, make sure that you match your landing page. So if I click on this ad and it doesn't take me to somewhere that talks about these 6-month offers, I'm going to be frustrated. So make sure that your landing page always syncs up with your AdWords. So no, as I mentioned, we're just kind of scratching the surface on a lot of things. We could spend all day talking about websites and different things you can do, but really for today, just going to focus on kind of the general advice. And first is going to be making sure that those precautions and processes are really the first thing you see. Sport Check, an example of a larger retail. The first thing you see when you go to their site is stores will remain temporarily closed. I believe they just recently reopened them, which is awesome. And then one of the local businesses here in Kelowna where I am, Mosaic Books, we are open for curbside pickup, and then more details of how you actually use those services. So making sure precautions and processes are right at the forefront, and really optimize towards conversions. And what that means is think about what action you want people to take when they go to your website now more than ever, because most of that sales cycle is going to take place before they ever get to your store, before they ever called you, more than ever before. So people will already have their minds made up. So if you want them to, make an e-commerce purchase, or whether it's to send in a contact us form or request a quote or anything like that, just really make sure that your website is all focused on getting them to take that action you want them to take. Now's a good time to review that. You can get a lot of the information in your analytics review. So taking a look at what pages of your website are performing the best, what pages of your website are down. Maybe take a look at even adjusting the navigation on your website, because people are looking at different services. Just with the situation that we're in, maybe there's different services that are becoming more popular, and you may have to put those at the forefront. Blogs, videos, and testimonials. I just want to include this because it's always a good time to add those things. It doesn't even all have to be COVID-19 related content. It can just be what's going on with you, what's going on with your business. BC is full of small business owners, so people have a lot of empathy when it comes to this. I was doing some research on small and medium businesses, and from February to March, Google's search trends for how to support local business are up 700%. So now is a great time to give people, ask for testimonials, get content out there. Not to mention it'll really help with your search engine optimization, as Google loves that content going out there. Email marketing. So you can look at products like MailChimp that are free up to a certain number of subscribers to stay in contact with as many of your email or ongoing clients that you can. If you have their contact information, make sure you do have permission and you're in line with those CASA laws. But now's a good time to just stay in contact. It's a very inexpensive way to keep that top of mind awareness with your existing clientele. And it's something that you can actually keep going once you're even back to normal. There's huge value in having these email databases where if you're having a sale or any kind of promotion or event or anything like that, you've got this pre-procured list that of people who are interested in your content. You can connect with them just at the click of a button. Kind of obvious ones, but e-commerce or direct-to-consumer opportunity. A lot of the interesting partnerships are coming out of this where people are having to look at different processes or different sales channels. And the way that comes through is either looking at e-commerce, partnering with different businesses, or looking at some sort of direct-to-consumer opportunity. So I would take some time to look at that. Security. And I mean security of your actual website. So if you don't have what's called an SSL certification from Google, I highly recommend getting this certification. This isn't a course or anything you take. You just talk to your web provider or someone or your programmer or anything like that. It should take them about an hour to set up this security. And that makes sure that Google Chrome recognizes your website as a trusted website. I know if you go to it and you don't have the SSL, you kind of get that red triangle, that danger caution triangle. And the simple way to do that is if you look at your website, if it's got HTTP instead of HTTPS, it's not secure with Google. So it has to have that HTTPS. Okay. Social. So once again, scratching the surface, but with so much time spent on social media, we're seeing more eyeballs than ever on there. But this is a tricky time, so you can kind of have that paralysis by analysis when you're thinking, what messages should I put out there? Should I even be saying anything? The overwhelming stats are that people still want to hear from brands. You just need to be a little bit more careful with what you're actually putting out there. So just a few quick tips. Be useful. Make sure that you're not just posting for no reason, whether it's a new way to use your product or service, or keeping people updated on what's going on in your industry or trends that you're seeing in the community. Make sure you're posting and actually make it useful. Be informative. So like I said before, kind of talk about what's going on in the community, ways that people can help other people, talk about good news stories, make sure you're including valuable information. Be compassionate. There's a lot of other small businesses that are in this same situation. A lot of people have that empathy and have that compassion. Make sure that you understand that maybe not the best time to be using humor, may not the best time to be, making light of the situation. You got to make sure that you're showing compassion in all the marketing aspects that you're doing these days. Be mindful with promotions. So nothing that has to do with, events or anything outside of social distancing guidelines. Now that a lot more places are starting to open, I think gift cards are a great idea. Things that are going to get people out at their own pace and when they're comfortable. And then finally, just be real. Everyone's in the same situation. Everyone knows that these are strange times, but just be real and make sure that you're sharing your story across your social channels, sharing how you're impacted, because people will be able to connect with those experiences that you're also having. So, okay. A couple examples in social media that I really like. So this one ran on Reddit. Jimmy John's open for delivery. I'm working from home without the design team. Hopefully this conveys Jimmy John's is open for delivery. So obviously made on Microsoft Paint, but just an ad that I thought was very creative and really has that kind of real sense to it. Honest Company. So Honest Company, very, they keep their context and tone strong. They don't even kind of mention the situation. It's a service they already offered, diaper delivery to home, but it's very timely. It makes sense with the situation that was going on. They just took advantage of it and pushed it out. And I know that they've been busier than ever on their actual direct to door diaper delivery. Display programmatic. So this may be a channel that you may not have considered before. Programmatic advertising is basically the ability to personalize ads to people based on their online activity. And that's all about reaching the right people in the right place in the right time. At Stingray, we do work in the programmatic space. We work with a company called Acuity, and really it's all based around machine learning and artificial intelligence. So no matter what website your consumers are going on, whether it's Huffington Post, CTV, Forbes, hundreds of thousands of other websites, that only people seeing your ads are in your target audience. So that's maybe a channel that you haven't considered before, but just considering with all the huge growth in the actual time spent online, in our campaigns, at least, we're seeing a lot of over delivery on campaigns, bonus impressions, and whether it's through us or whether it's through another company, I'm sure you'll be seeing lower rates on like cost per thousand, cost per click, things like that. So maybe a channel you haven't considered before. And then just kind of as we're ending here, the role of brands. So moving forward, we're really going to have to think about our messaging, what we put out there. I think people are going to be less driven by just price alone. They're going to want to be supporting local. They're going to be wanting to making sure that those dollars are staying in Kamloops, staying in the communities that they're actually in. And the messaging is going to be different. So it's not going to be so much a race to the bottom, but it's going to be, looking at how brands have done these 4 things, among other things. So protecting and partnering. So protecting employees and suppliers. A great example of this is Bauer. So obviously a larger brand, but they actually took one of their product facilities or production factories, and instead of making helmets, they're typically a hockey gear company, they actually started making face shields. So something that actually shows their commitment to frontline workers, their commitment to the community. And that's a partnership that was really unique. And that's something that did good for the community, but also was very strong in growing their brand and having that, connection and that partnership. Inform and empathize. So when you are putting messaging out, don't make it all about selling. Don't make it all about promotions. Make it about, understanding that people are in these situations, maybe offering promotions that are off to frontline workers or mothers or anything like that. Anyone who, you really want to show that empathy towards, making sure that you're not posting just for no reason. Make sure that everything you do around that brand is around that informing people and empathizing with people. Educate and connect. So very interesting story out of the States. Verizon, they've been doing weekly seminars they're a huge telecom company. They've been doing weekly seminars for small and medium-sized businesses all across the States. I believe you can get into them from Canada as well. But they're doing, not just on telecommunications, but on finance and marketing and accounting and branding and all kinds of different topics. So using your own brand power, whether it's just in your industry, whether it's just in your community, but trying to educate people on either a subject that's important to you or something that you think would appeal to a larger group of people with some knowledge that you have. And then just finally, a new role for brands. So I believe it's going to be putting people before profits. It's going to be looking at brands that are going to be thinking more about their employees, more thinking about their consumers, more thinking about being socially conscious. So it's important to just think about how you want your brand to be perceived by others during this pandemic and at the end, but really taking the time to understand that the way we've been marketing in the past is going to have to change, not only because the way people shop, but also the messaging that we want to share with people. And just wanted to share some examples of just ads that we've been seeing, some examples from Stingray and some other ones as well. But so Old Orchard Inn will be here, so you can too. We'll see you soon. So this is a bed and breakfast, and just very clear messaging, not trying to force the issue. We understand, and when it's ready, we'll have you guys come back. This Grand Falls Windsor community, so it's an animated GIF, but it was showing examples of washing your hands and just public education. We can go to the next one here. So a couple larger brands, IKEA, we've all got PTSD from the IKEA instructions, but I like this ad: 1 key, 1 lock, 100 rolls of toilet paper. And right at the beginning of the pandemic, the messaging was stay at home. So we've moved on a little bit from there, but some good clear directions from IKEA for once. Audi, keep your distance. So the circles spaced out to represent social distancing, of course. So ADL is the dairy producers in Prince Edward Island, and really they took their messaging just to talk about community needing to support community. So going totally away from any kind of brand messaging or promotion messaging, just using their platform to connect with people. And then another one, Mazda, just talking about how their services have changed, talking about purchase vehicle pickup, our commitment to response to COVID-19. So just making it really clear how they have actually changed their process. And then one of my favorites, Nike. So if you've ever dreamed of playing for millions around the world, now's your chance. Play inside, play for the world. So Nike was one of the companies, of course, their stock took a huge dive when all this started, but they actually increased their advertising, and they knew that people were going to need workout gear, workout shoes, clothes, anything that they could possibly get put out there. So they changed their messaging as very socially conscious messaging, but really want to get the idea out there that still be active. Everyone's working at home, and now they've seen a real resurgence in their stock and in their company as a whole. Just want to show some small business resources. You can reach out to get these from the team, but Facebook offering $100 million in cash grants. Reach out to them and apply for those cash grants. Canadian Federation for Independent Businesses has some fantastic resources as well. And then Google. So part of an $800 million plan, $340 million of that is going to go to small and medium-sized businesses. I believe they are still figuring out the application process for Canada, but they will be launching that in Canada as well. Stingray stimulus plan. Some of you may be familiar with this already. Brett, could I just get you to briefly discuss the Stingray stimulus plan?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. It's Brett. I'm from Stingray. I'm with the advertising department here in Kamloops. I'll just briefly talk about the Stingray stimulus plan. It's something that as a company, we're going to be granting $50 million in radio advertising to small businesses all across the country. So pretty simple process. You just apply for it, and once the application is received, we vet them, and you'll receive a grant anywhere from $1,000 to $100,000 per business, depending on what their needs are and what their requirements are to get your business launched and back out there. And if you guys start to grow, we can help, then we want to continue that partnership beyond that. So.
Perfect. Thanks, Brett. Yeah, it's super easy to apply. I believe it's just stingraystimulusplan.com.
Yes.
Okay. And then just a few resources from where I got a lot of my information. If you're interested in checking out some articles, we can provide you with those as well. Perfect. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time. As I mentioned, wanted to cover a little bit of a lot of different subjects. So hopefully there's a few takeaways. Hopefully you took a little nugget or a little piece that you're able to take back to your own business. If you do have questions, feel free to reach out. And thanks for taking the time. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you very much, Brock. Appreciate it. And they can contact you here through us we'll forward all this information as well as you. I did have one quick question. When it comes to the Google hours and stuff, sometimes you see people that you can edit these hours, even though it's not your company. Is there some way that you can fix that?
I haven't seen like if you've claimed your Google My Business profile or your Google My Business page, they shouldn't be able to edit them. Sometimes
Oh,
sometimes you can suggest hours to people.
maybe
Um,
that's what it is. Okay. Because it's like I go search for something and then it says, what are your hours or claim this business? And it
yeah,
seems weird that it's open so much like that. Somebody else could take that from you, I guess.
yeah, that would be if you haven't claimed your business already. Yeah,
Okay, so that's probably something we should look at then. I'll,
yeah,
at least for the people that I see, I'll mention that to them. Thanks, Brock.
yeah. No worries.
Anyways, really appreciate you coming
Yeah,
through and helping us out with this. And again, I'll let this file be sent out to everybody for follow-up links and stuff. So
great.
thank you.
Thanks.
Now I just have to find the end. There it is.